don't know about you, but my night routines used to look like this. Ow. But I didn't realise that having that as my night routine was leaving its mark. Quite literally. Okay, listen up. If you don't have a solid night routine, then you might as well chuck out your morning routine as well, because it's the decisions you make tonight that will make or break tomorrow, and they will directly affect how you show up and how you go about your day. I used to get so caught up and obsessed on perfecting my morning routine when my night routine was literally non-existent. And I genuinely had no idea why I found mornings so difficult, why I was never able to focus throughout the day, why I wasn't productive at all. And then I realized your morning starts the night before. So I started researching like crazy at 1 a.m. in the morning. And then when I got down the rabbit hole of trying to find the perfect night routine, there was just so many things that different people were including. And I was so overwhelmed because I thought it would take me like 10 hours to do the whole thing. So I needed something simple. I needed the essentials, and I needed something that was actually going to help me wind down and set me up well for the next day. But now I figured out the key elements that you need to have for a solid night routine. And ever since I started implementing them just since the start of this year, my sleep's been better. I wake up feeling refreshed. Just as a little disclaimer, I'm still not perfect. Like, there's aspects of this night routine that I sometimes miss out if I'm super tired and I really just want to get into bed. I'm also not saying that this is the perfect night routine, because what works for one person might not work as well for someone else. And to be completely honest, I might discover things after this video that work even better in my routine, and I might add those in. But I can say that this routine has honestly made a real big impact. So without further ado, here's this simple night routine that genuinely changed my life. I often work out in the afternoon, so my night routine really starts when I get home from the gym. Some people think you should have an ice cold shower after you work out, but this is probably one of the worst things you could do. The cold water will spike adrenaline and cortisol, making you feel more awake. So if you do it too close to bedtime, then it's going to make it harder for you to fall asleep and relax. This is also kind of counterintuitive, but cold showers actually raise your core body temperature, and that can affect your ability to get to sleep, because in order to sleep, your body naturally needs to drop its core temperature. So in the opposite way, warm showers are actually a good option because they lower your body's core temperature, and that prepares your body to get ready for sleep. As a side note, cold showers aren't great if your main goal from your workouts is muscle growth, because the cold water reduces the inflammatory response and can inhibit muscle protein synthesis, which is what's needed to build muscle. So yes, although having ice baths and cold showers can reduce muscle soreness, it's not ideal in the long term if your main goal is muscle growth. But that's just a side note for my gym girlies. I always lay out my clothes for the next day the night before to reduce decision fatigue, because your girl cannot make decisions early in the morning. I also don't have any proper pajamas right now because I was such a picky child. Like, I could never decide on what pajamas I actually wanted. So now I just have like sports t-shirts and a random pair of pajama bottoms that, I don't know, they just somehow appeared in my possession. But I really want a cute matching set of PJs. So if you have any recommendations, let me know, because I'm looking. After dinner, I do my skincare, and I like to keep it really simple. It's not as simple as my morning routine, so if you want to check that one out, it's in another video. But I like to make sure I wash my face extra well to like get all the dirt off from the day. So I use a foaming cleanser, wash that off, and then a light moisturizer. If I want to do a face mask in the evening or something like that, then I would do it before I put my moisturizer on, but I don't use them often. So after that, I just brush my teeth and head upstairs to start winding down. When you're winding down and getting ready for bed, there's one rule that's really helpful to follow. It's called the 3-2-1 rule, and essentially it works like this. 3 hours before bed, you're gonna have no big meals or caffeine. Ideally, you don't really want to be having any caffeine after 1 p.m, but I'm someone who doesn't have caffeine at all, because even the tiniest bit, like in tea at 9 a.m. in the morning, will affect my sleep. But I used to be someone who would be eating like within 10 minutes of going to bed, so that was a big change that I had to make. So I aim to have dinner most nights at least 3 hours before I actually go to bed. Sometimes it doesn't work out like that, it's closer to 2 hours. But if you eat too close to when you go to bed, it can cause indigestion or acid reflux and just like make it so much harder to get to sleep. Now the 2 in the 3-2-1 rule is the one I find hardest by far, because I love the work that I do, But 2 hours before bed, you're going to stop working and stop doing anything that's intense or mentally stimulating. So that means avoiding work emails, studying, or anything that keeps your brain wired, because that's going to help your mind start shifting into like the relaxation mode. And 1 hour before bed, you're going to put the screens away. I know you probably already know this, but the blue light from screens messes with melatonin production and makes it harder for us to fall asleep. If you're someone who really can't avoid a screen for the 2 hours within you going to bed, there's a few things you can do. First, you can get blue light glasses, which essentially block the blue light from your screens. Or if you have an iPhone like me, there's a setting called night mode, which switches the colors from more cooler tones to warmer tones, and that can help reduce the effects of the blue light just a little bit. It's also a good idea to switch off any bright overhead lights and only use warmer, low lighting. And when I say low, I mean like physically low, so like a lamp on the floor or something like that, because it mimics the sunset and tells your brain that it's time to get ready to go to sleep. I always turn my phone on sleep mode and plug it in on the opposite side of my room, because otherwise I will check the notifications. Next, I've been trying to build the habit of reading more, and this is honestly the most shaky part of my night routine, so it's a bit hit or miss. But reading before bed, especially if it's like a self-improvement kind of book, is really helpful, because that's when your brain is able to process the information more as you sleep. It's the same as the concept of studying just before you go to bed. The information kind of soaks in better and you can remember it easier next time you need to remember it. Right now I'm reading the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, and it's honestly one of the best books I've ever read. I'm only this far through, but I did listen to it before, but I wanted to get the actual physical book because it's got diagrams in it. It basically explains how habits work, how they form, and how you can build better habits and things like that. So I found it really useful in helping me explain things better in my YouTube videos as well. Because I feel like whenever people think about becoming their best self or wanting to change their lives, we automatically think we have to make all of these massive changes. But a lot of the points in this book are all about the tiny habits that you do every single day, and the results from those habits compound over time. So that idea is honestly something that I've really started to implement more, because I was someone who used to get caught up in thinking that I wasn't doing enough. But then since I've been reading this, it just reminded me that it's the small actions that we do every single day that add up. It's the consistency. It's like going to the gym. If you go once, then it's not going to do much, but if you go not every single day, but if you go regularly over the weeks and months, you're going to see big progress. It's the same with pretty much any habit in any area of life. So far, this book has given me like quite a lot of practical ways to build those habits, and really it unpacks the science of it as well, but in a simple and easy to understand way. So yeah, Atomic Habits, I'll link it in the description as well. This is not sponsored or anything, I just think it's a really good book. In my morning routine, I want the first words I read every day to encourage me and build my faith. And similarly, something I started implementing quite recently was reading the Bible just before I go to bed, so that the last words I read every day also come from God. I have this journal Bible, so I actually like to journal at the same time as I'm doing this. So I'll either draw pictures in my Bible, or I also have a separate notebook where I'll just scribble stuff down. And I usually read about a chapter or so, but it really depends on the day. To finish off my journaling session, I like to write down my prayer for the night, because I find that when I just pray in my head, my thoughts can tend to get in the way, and I suddenly find myself thinking about the most random things instead of actually praying. So since I've been writing those prayers down, it's really just helped me to stay focused and be more intentional about what I'm praying for. I used to go to bed with my hair down, but it always ended up like in a big matted mess in the morning. So now I always wear it in a scrunchie, and there have been no knots since. I fill up my glass of water and leave it on my desk so I can get hydrated first thing in the morning, and then I set my alarm. Your sleep's actually made up of 90-minute cycles that are split into 4 stages: light sleep, deeper light sleep, deep sleep, and then REM sleep, which is where you're dreaming. Honestly, I could do a whole other YouTube video going into detail on this because it is dense, but essentially it's best to wake up between those sleep cycles, because that's going to leave you feeling refreshed rather than really groggy if you're waking up mid-deep sleep. So I like to figure out the best time to wake up in the morning using those sleep cycles. So if I go to bed at 10, I give myself like half an hour to fall asleep in the first place, and then sleeping 7.5 hours would be 5 90-minute cycles, and that would take me to a wake up time of 6 a.m. Realistically though, I end up falling asleep at slightly different times, so I aim to wake up anywhere between 6:30 and 7. One thing that I personally need to work on is getting to sleep at exactly the same time every night, because having a consistent sleep schedule has been scientifically shown to help you sleep better, regulate your circadian rhythm, and give you more quality sleep as well. Just before I go to bed, I like to put on a little devotional on Spotify. It's only usually like 5 to 10 minutes long, but I put the sleep timer on so that it turns itself off when I'm going to sleep. So let me know if you do any of these things in your night routine, or if you do something different, because I'm always learning and I know other people in the comments would love to learn as well. We can all share our sleep hacks and it'll be amazing. But in order to properly regulate your circadian rhythm and energize you and keep you focused throughout the day, your night routine and your morning routine really go hand in hand, so you can watch my full morning routine video here next. Love you so much and see you over there.